Hello and welcome for the first time today. If you are listening to some podcast services, you will not understand what's just happened. It is just me today. It is just Bibby that's doing for it. Usually you'd hear Graham greeting you and everything would be absolutely fine. You'd hear the normal jingle, hear the normal jingle, not the Christmas jingle, but today is your daily dollop. Graham is off this week. I don't know why he ended up doing the scoop for the first 3 days, but I'm glad he did, because you would have just had this for the first 3 days. So yeah, the Christmas jingle is there because I haven't done this on my own since obviously before Christmas, and I didn't even think to check it. I've been trying to put together my streaming stuff. Elgato have very kindly decided to donate to us a new stream decks, new mics, and new green screens. So I've been trying to incorporate all of that in. So if anything breaks, I apologise. Yesterday was a shit show for myself again in the afternoon because I couldn't get my game capture to work. My OBS was so out of date that it just wouldn't pick up anything, but I didn't want to tamper with anything because then nothing would work, but it didn't work anyway, so it updated it. It was just, I think we're getting there. So hopefully my voice sounds a lot crisper nowadays because we've got Elgato Wave 3 mics. I've got a stream deck so I can press buttons now so they come through into the chat. This is half an hour earlier than when we usually go live because it's usually 10-ish. But it's just me today, the Daily Dollop. Grave has been, it should have been off all week, but decided to, run the show and make it audio friendly and actually give us a show. But today he's taking the day off, He's probably still in bed. So yeah, you've got me today with the Daily Dollop. It'll probably just be 40 minutes of some Mancunian, smooth talking and smooth sounding Mancunian now, thanks to the Wave 3 mic. So yeah, it's hopefully we'll start to get there. But Gaga telling me that I was muted. I mean, the mute button is on the top here, and it is like touch sensitive. I don't know if there's a way that I can permanently, get rid of that, because that you don't even have to touch it. You just have to rub your hand close to it and it'll go off. So I think that may be something that I try and look at, seeing if I can mute full time. But I hope that we're all doing okay today. As I said, it is just me, and we will be running through some news. It's kind of a stacked day. I mean, we have got 3 news articles, but one of them is obviously the fallout from the Nintendo conference last night, which I didn't catch much of because I was doing work stuff. So, yeah. Morning, Garlic. How's it going, buddy? It's just me today. How's it going? Oh, that's a good brew. Oh, that is good. I don't have to make a good brew. But anyway, I'll do what Graham usually does. Bib! See, that's what what'd you get up to last night? Well, Graham, I watched City go 10 points clear at the top of the Premier League, nobbing Everton 3-1 at their gaff. I think is it 15 games unbeaten now in all competitions, nearly setting a new world record. Was it nearly a world record? Yeah, it was nearly a world record, Graham. Yeah, 10 points clear. We've got Arsenal this weekend. If we knob them, 13 points clear because United clearly aren't going to win. United are going to win. We're in okay. No, you're not in good form there, Graham. But yeah, that's what I got up to last night, and then I did a little bit of work afterwards, sorting some Master League stuff out. So yeah, that was my evening. What about everybody else? How did their evenings go? Asim says, "What a legend." Jordan says, "Solo time." Face. Oh god, that's going to get clipped. What a hero. I mean, I have got stuff on here now, so I can clip my own stuff. Again, I've got a stream deck, so I was trying to program that a little bit last night. So I think I'll be able to create my own clips now, which is nice, because when I hit a really nice golf shot and I think, okay, I'm going to clip that because I'll be able to use that, I could do that now. We're moving into the 21st century. Ice cream uploads, we're doing all a big time Bibby Shagger 2.0. That's me. Oh, I've also got something as well. When I press a button, it changes my Twitter name, which is nice. And I just need to change it back. But yeah, that is enough rambling because we've got 40 minutes of this coming up. So I suppose we get into some news. There was something about a conference last night. I'm not too sure. I'm sure there'll be some of you in the chat that absolutely despised it, and then me announcing a golf game. But we'll get into that. 2 seconds. Let me see if this works. Please work. Oh my god, the white screen then nearly sent me off the edge. But Yes, it was the Nintendo Direct last night. It's the first one that we had in 18 months. So I'm going to read through this. I'm going to probably scrape through it because, as you can see, it is a doozy of an article going through everything that got announced last night. So I'm just going to pick out the bits about each announcement rather than talking through everything, because this show is going to be about 4 hours long and no one wants to listen to me talk for about 4 hours. Jordan says, need to play some Borderlands 3, so waiting to go to town for... Mate wants to play some BL3, so waiting to go down in price to do some co-op on PS5. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to decipher that. My head was just spinning. So you're waiting for your mate to go and play Borderlands 3. Okay, got you. Cheers, mate. Right, okay, so let's jump into the first news article of the day. And as you can expect, it's about Nintendo Direct. So written on Eurogamer by Tom Phillips. Tonight's long-awaited Nintendo Direct included several big game announcements, including Splatoon 3 and Mario Golf, as well as a HD release of Zelda Skyward Sword. Hands up in the chat if you got every single announcement yesterday right. I can see Asim's hand up. Garlic is kind of got it up. In fact, it looks like just one finger. He's not putting his arm up. But a couple of guys ended up nailing it yesterday. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 player character Pyra and Mithra. I think I've nailed that. We're also announcing the latest faces to join Smash Bros. Ultimate. I bet they spent about 25 minutes each on them. Mentions was made of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, but only say that more details would arrive later in 2021. To be clear, Nintendo did not confirm whether the game would actually release in 2021. So let's start with the big stuff. The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD is launching for Nintendo Switch on the 16th of July, and this time, the motion controls are optional. This year, Zelda's 35th anniversary, though, Nintendo remained quiet on its other plans for the series for now. Closing the whole show, Nintendo dropped an unexpected teaser for Splatoon 3. It's not coming until 2022, though the features are an upside Eiffel Tower, a robot crab. Hopefully, it's worth the wait. As mentioned already, both Pyra and Mithra joined Smash Bros. Ultimate for their original appearances in Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The duo are the latest to arrive as part of the game's Ultimate Fighting Pass Volume 2. I apologise, that was a burp. Which previously added Minecraft and Final Fantasy characters. Minecraft characters in Smash Bros. That's a bit odd. Anyway, onto the big stuff. Forget about Zelda. Forget about Smash Bros. Forget about Splatoon. This is the announcement we've all been waiting for. Mario Golf Super Rush was announced for the Switch and tees off on the 25th of June. It has optional Wii Golf-like motion controls and a story mode where you play as your me. And in other Nintendo game news, 3DS Miitopia rival Switch on the May. I'm joking. Switch on the 21st of May, while remakes of Famicom Detective Club titles Missing Hair and Missing Who stands behind will launch as a bundle on the 14th of May. That's a really weird game title. We also I've got a quick look at Animal Crossing's New Horizons long-awaited Mario items. One actual useful addition will be Mushroom Kingdom-style warp pipes that you can use to travel about. Beam Battle Royale Fall Guys is coming to the Switch this summer. I think that should have come out way earlier. And perhaps other platforms too. It first arrived on PC and PlayStation last year. The well-regarded Outer Wilds is also coming to Nintendo Switch at some point in 2021. Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborhood launches in March. Meanwhile, it's the latest game from Garden Warfare team and its first Nintendo Switch game to use E8's Frostbite engine. How am I going to... Annapurna Interactive announces Neon White, a first-person shooter where you're exterminating demons in an anime heaven. It's coming winter 2021 to PC and Switch. Developed by Donut Country's Ben Esposito. I think that's right. Project Triangle Strategy is the SRPG successor to Octopath Traveler. It's due in 2022. It got Martin very excited, and you can try now via a sample demo on the Switch eShop. Star Wars Hunters is a new free-to-play online squad battle arena multiplayer set between the Return of the Jedi and the Force Awakens. I also heard The Mandalorian, but it hasn't been mentioned in this. And it's also coming in 2021 from Zynga. We also saw team-based battle multiplayer dodgeball game Knockout City from Mario Kart home circuit developer Valen Studios, which launched on the 21st of May. Is that the second game that launched on the 21st? I think it is, isn't it? Ian recently took a look at this, which you can see in the video below, and previously announced Apex Legends arrives on the 9th of March and Monster Hunter Rise on the 26th of March. Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is getting an expansion pass with 2 waves of DLC due in June and then in November 2021. The pass is on sale now for £18, though exactly what you'll get is still to be revealed, which is very odd. World's End Club, from the developer of Danganronpa, I think, and Zero Escape, arrives on the 28th of May. Meanwhile, Samurai Warrior 5 announced for the Switch and will launch this summer. There's also a Legend of Mana remake coming to the Switch, PC and PS4 on June the 24th. Okay, so we're very nearly into this article now. Please wake up. Tales from the Borderlands launches on the 23rd of March, a few weeks after its other recently announced new console versions. Saga Frontier Remastered arrives on Switch. Arrives for the Switch on 15th of April. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection, interesting, turns up from the 10th of June, and No More Heroes 3 launches on the 27th of August. A physical version of Hades Eurogamer's Game of the Year for 2020 will be released on the 19th of March with some extra bits and pieces. Stubbs the Zombie Rebel Without a Pulse launches on the 16th of March, and DC Superhero Girls Teen Power launches on the 4th of June. Finally, here's the entire 50-minute broadcast to rewatch in full, which I will be doing at some point today because I missed half of it. So, ladies and gentlemen, after the driest mouth in the world, let me know in the chat how you thought of this if you did end up watching it in its entirety last night. Let me just do this. Hopefully you end up bringing my face back on the screen. No! Shit. Scoop camera, is this us? Is this the one? Hey! There we go. So, as I take a swig of my brew. Hello there. That was a lot of information, and it was a lot more than I was expecting from my personal standpoint. We talked about it yesterday, with it being a 50-minute conference. I know that we talked about it with Asim yesterday, and he said it was just going to be games that was coming out in the first half of the year, which is absolutely fine. This was a lot more than I was expecting, if I'm being perfectly honest. I think we mentioned yesterday that we may see something from a potential Zelda game, including Breath of the Wild. They came out and said they haven't got anything, which is cool, because they actually acknowledged that there will be something coming at this moment in time, but there isn't enough to show us yet. Perfectly fine. At this point, even if you mention the game at a conference, to me, personally, if acknowledging games is nice, because using Anthem as an example, that I didn't get announced at anything last year. Like it seemed to be a game that was dead, and it looks that way at this moment in time. I know they said they were going to give it a week and see what the crunch talks were going to happen, but returning back to Nintendo products, if they acknowledge the products, I think that will kind of stir people in the right direction, and that's just a personal opinion when it comes to stuff like that. They acknowledged Breath of the Wild 2, they haven't got anything yet, they'll show it in due course. Perfect, nice one. And then in the same breath said that we're going to bring Skyward Sword out, which is fantastic because I never got to play it on the Wii. So using your controllers, I mean, one of the Elder Scrolls Blades used this kind of thing on the Nintendo Switch at this moment in time, so they must have been looking at that and going, actually, we can bring over Zelda and it'd be exactly the same as this. I imagine they was waiting for the 35th anniversary to unveil something like this, which is amazing. The way that the controllers are going to be used in this game is going to be next level, I think. So I'm happy with that. I'm definitely going to be picking it up. I did see people whinging that it was going to be a £60 game. It's going to be a £60 game. It's a Zelda game. Of course it's going to be full price, regardless of whether or not it's a remake. It's going to be an amazing game. It's going to be an experience that a lot of people probably didn't get to have in the first instance. So yeah, paying £60 for it is going to be what it is. That's the going rate for games nowadays. Get used to it. It's pretty much the way about it. So before I go on into the chat anymore, I'm going to have a look through the chat. I called Skyward Sword as Asim, he most certainly did. Gary Clark says, I nearly did. They're doing a 60 FPS update and a slight control update to £70. My Zelda mates were gutted. The Skyward Sword is the worst one, supposedly, says Jordan. But at this point, I would just say that they did stay focused on Smash Bros. Games in the first part of 2021, apart from Splatoon, that went away, gets popcorn. Jordan, I don't agree with that. £70 for a game that a lot of people didn't get to play originally. It's not as if they're remastering the original Zelda and then charging £70 for it. It might be the worst game to a lot of people, but this, from what I've seen in the trailer and that, and the way that the mechanics move, this game instantly got me right. Okay, this is a Zelda game that I really want to play. So I'm more than happy and paying full price for a game like that, because one, it's a Zelda game. The price tag comes with the franchise at the end of the day. It's not as if it's an unknown IP that they could afford to send it out for 35 quid. I mean, they probably could afford to send it out for 35 quid and people will still buy it, including myself. But a £70 game for a remastering, new updated version for the Nintendo Switch is going to sell regardless. Jordan says, Miitopia and Neon Whites were hype. Other than that, it was great. A dead game. Gary says, yep, what they said would be announced, as in when the games are coming out, they were spot on. People are getting excited for expecting far too much. Well, it's a games conference, of course people are. I said it yesterday. I'm excited for this. I mean, I didn't think there was going to show as many games as there was. I knew there was going to show a decent amount of games, because you don't wait 18 months to release a games conference and then only show a handful of games. They show way more than I could have ever imagined in this, if I'm being honest. And I was excited by it. I was hyped by it from what I'd seen, and then obviously what I've read this morning. It's a very exciting conference. Mate, they released Mario Golf. I've just paid £200 for Fee Golf, and they're bringing out Mario Golf where you can use your controller as a golf club. What am I doing? I feel like I've been gypped. But having a story mode, as I've said this from the beginning, if you have a Switch and you've not played Golf Story, you need to go back and play that. Having a career mode in a golf game is amazing, but having a story in a golf game is incredible. So going back and being able to play games like that, when the game comes out and being able to play a game like that is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for that. Asim said, useless fact, Star Wars Hunters, the game I worked on for 6 months when I was at Zynga. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I thought my tongue was going to start waving when it shouldn't have been doing. So I'm glad you've mentioned that one. Enix says, can't wait for the anything Star Wars. It says a competitive first-person shooter on what I've read on another article. So that, I'm excited to see where that ends up. Jordan says, I also saw Android and iOS. Knew it was probably something quite similar to Fit Mobile. Oh, it's an arena shooter, mobile is the focus, so set your expectations. Yeah, I'm sure I read. Let me see if I can find it on any of these articles, because I'm sure it was Eurogamer that I read it. It said that it was a competitive third-person shooter, which I thought was a bit wild. I'm just digging through Star Wars. It hasn't got any hyperlinks in this, so I will just leave that for the time being. I feel like the Fall Guys announcement's coming far too late. Obviously, people are still going to be playing it on there, but I feel like that wave has been rode, and it's now not the game it was 6 months ago, 8 months ago. It will still get a lot of people playing it, and it may end up coming full circle again, and the wave starts to come through, because it'll be opened up to a brand new audience again. But has that ship sailed in terms of Fall Guys? I don't know. Asim says, personally, only Mario Golf and Skyward Sword HD interest me. That said, people seem to be hyped for the JRPG stuff. Mate, the JRPG stuff is the only thing that's keeping the PS Vita still going. If they carry on bringing out games that people want for the Nintendo Switch, the Vita could be having its eternal resting place over in the East. It's definitely dead in the West. So yeah, I agree. Mario Golf and Skyward Sword definitely have my interest. That's two massive announcements to come out of this, and if it was those two games that they was going to show, that's fine. I like Smash Brothers. I don't have Smash Brothers. Would it be a game that I wanted to play religiously day in, day out? Absolutely not. Is Mario Golf a game that I want to play religiously day in and day out? Absolutely. As I said, it's got a story mode in it. It's going to be fire. It's going to be absolutely fire. Gary says the same, the two games. I like the fact that you don't have to use motion control Skyward Sword. Yeah, I always thought that might have been a bit of a difficult task. And then they also mentioned about the Switch Lite, because I thought you don't want to alienate one side of your audience, especially if the Switch Lite is starting to sell a lot. So bringing the game out and being able for it to be used on those consoles using just the analog sticks, amazing. I like the fact that they thought of that. The way they've implemented the new controller looks decent as well. People seem to have very short memories. A lot of games people are waiting for are more than likely behind schedule due to that thing called the worldwide pandemic. Kulan, oh, hello. Hello to you, son. How's it going? Asim says, yes, pandemic was a huge impact on development cycles. People don't get how hard it is for teams of hundreds working separately from home to make a game is so tough. Which is, that kind of goes for us as well. I mean, I'm only streaming from home, but my internet here compared to what it's like in the office, mine's like a quarter of the speed. So even downloading assets from the server, from home to from work to here, it can be slow. So I imagine it's exactly the same for people working remotely. If they have to work remotely, they'll probably had to take their desktop PC, their monitors and stuff like that, and then whatever internet access they have to at home, it may not be the best compared to the office. Very similar to mine. It just takes a long time, doesn't it? But anyway, with all the games that was announced yesterday, there was a lot to take in there. Monster Hunter Rise, that's a massive game. That's going to be mad. Apex Legends, again, another battle royale game, but a very successful one at that. Again, I thought that the player base started to dwindle a little bit because I don't see it as much. I was apparently wrong. Plants vs Zombies Battle for Neighborhood launches in March. There is a lot of games coming out in the next two. Well, it's not even the next 2 months. It's literally 6 weeks. In the next 6 weeks, we are going to be seeing. Is it 7 games? Mad. Again, though, Mario Golf, 25th of June. Get that in your diaries, people, because we will be streaming that, absolutely. So what else did we have in here that I've kind of glossed over that we didn't really see much of? Legend of Mana, I looked at that at the same time because I was watching City with my friend on Discord, and I was like, right, I've got to go. I need to start watching some of this stuff, and then I only got to see the last 2 announcements. I saw a little bit of this one, like 30 seconds, and he went, right, I'm going. And then the last 2 announcements. So I only got to see a little bit of this. Legend of Mana, I don't think it's a game that I'm probably going to end up picking up, if I'm being honest. It just seems a bit too out there for me. If I got to sit down with it for maybe a couple of hours, I may end up getting used to it. But for that, I'm not too sure. Tales from the Borderlands. I've never played a Tales from the Borderlands game. I've played Tales from the Walking Dead and the Batman ones. I haven't ever played the Borderlands ones. Oh, and the Back to the Future, obviously. I haven't ever played that one, so I will probably look to try and play the first 2 first. What else did we get? Ninja Gaiden. Interesting. Master Collection. I need to see more of that. That's something that, again, I won't have seen the trailers for all of these things, so I need to go back and watch that. It's probably the wrong idea to start a video games podcast first. But yeah, there we go. And then I think that's kind of it for that, if I'm being honest. A lot of announcements. What is the biggest game that you can take out of this? Again, I've mentioned it many times on this, but Mario Golf and Skyward Sword are 2 the biggest games. Splatoon 3, not interested. The first 2 never interested me. This didn't really pull me in as well. We are going to see some Breath of the Wild stuff later towards the end of the year, so that's something to look forward to too. So, with that said, I think it'll probably be wise to jump onto the next article. This is something that we covered on the day that it went live and everyone was going wild for it, but it looks like it's finally come to its natural conclusion. You shouldn't be upset about this. You probably should have expected it, but it's taken 40 days and Twitter has finally beaten Pokemon Red. There was an update on this 2 days ago where they got stuck at Team Rocket and had to do it all again, but 40 days and over 90,000 comments. Twitter has finally beaten Pokemon Red. Absolute fire. We love to see it. Just before we get into this, Gary said Apex Legends looked rough on the Switch for the clip that they showed. I heard that it's double XP on that when you first do it, so that's interesting. Asim says, as much of the Switch isn't for me right now, need the Pro. Nintendo do a very good job of making it people's second complimentary and or casual console. For lots of first parties and then great third party support for something that Wii U struggled with. I absolutely agree. Having a game where you can play AAA games and just normal indie games on the go is fantastic. Kulan says, I just ordered The Last of Us 2. They have a massive discount on the disc version in my store here in Sweden, so finally get to play it. Great style, Kulan. Love it. Okay, so moving back into Pokemon news. Has been written by Joshua Robertson over at The Gamer. It took 40 days, the loss of several Pokemon, and over 90,000 comments, but Twitter has finally beaten Pokemon Red. Over the past month and a half, a group of Twitter users have been playing Pokemon Red through another user's profile picture. People would vote down in the comments for a particular thread for an action they'd like in the game's protagonist to take, and the winning vote would then take place in the game. The mastermind behind the playthrough, Konstantin Leotard? Is that right? I don't know. Posted a picture of Twitter's victory on his Twitter feed on Wednesday. The picture shows an understandably angry blue stood in front of a seemingly underleveled Growlithe. Sorry, I was looking at the picture underneath. It looked completely washed out, and then I remembered that he's playing a Pokemon game from 23 years ago. Okay, an underleveled Growlithe. One user explained that they were using the Elite Four to grind for money for a Firestone to evolve Growlithe, but accidentally ended up beating the game instead. Yikes. So, yeah, Marshall. Level 41, 107 blue. No, that cannot be. I'm basically, for those of you listening to this audio podcast, I'm literally just talking through the tweet that's embedded in the article. But when you consider Twitter's team, it's understandable that they managed to beat blue without the amount of power that they had. The Pokemon have now been inducted into the Hall of Fame and are Alakazam, Dodrio, Growlithe, Lapras, Dragonite, and Zapdos. It's like Dragonite and Zapdos did a lot of the heavy lifting. In the same Twitter post, the it's Lietard, isn't it? Lietard thanked everyone who'd worked together to achieve the victory. He also revealed that it took Twitter 40 days and 90,000 comments to complete the game from start to finish. This is considerably longer than the last time something like this was attempted, back when Twitch user tried to play Pokemon through his Twitch chat. Twitch may have been beating the game in just 16 days, but it can be argued that Twitter overcame a much larger and harder challenge. The day prior to Twitter's victory, a group of Twitter users calling themselves Team Rocket had managed to derail Twitter's progress. Waiting until a group of dedicated daily players were asleep, Team Rocket took control, released all but one of Twitter's Pokemon back into the wild. However, Twitter recovered incredibly and well managed to assemble an even stronger team that eventually went on to beat the game. Congratulations, Twitter, for your accomplishment. This is mega. This is the good side of Twitter. Having over 90,000 comments come through from dedicated Pokemon masters, shall we call them for the sake of this, to eventually take down and go onto Victory Road. This is amazing. Really, Team Rocket waiting until everyone's asleep, releasing the Pokemon, then going out and grinding the new Pokemon to take them to unprecedented heights. This is amazing. To play it consecutive for 40 days and 90,000 comments. Let's just take this into consideration. There was probably about 7,000 to 8,000 people playing this. Let's see if any of these actually go to. I mean, I could just click this, couldn't I could just click this. I know you can't see this, but I'll bring it back on screen in a second. If I do this, and then go back to this, and then go back to this, this should bring up Twitter. Yay! So yeah, here's the Twitter profile. 193 people follow it. Jordan's following, of course he is. And then 50,000 people have been following this account. So as you can see, as we scroll down the feed, there's a lot of people who are interacting with these posts, that are liking, retweeting, that are commenting on them. This is amazing. This is the good side of Twitter. This is the kind of social media that we love to see. People coming together to make a clean Pokemon win, shall we call it. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. So, yep, that's that news article. And we have only got one more. Again, this is the dollop. You ain't getting much out of us today. This is one for the Xbox shaggers. Let's have a look through the chat first. Coolan just says Twitter rules. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So this has been written on VGC, over by Tom Ivan. If I just do that again. Yay. I cannot wait to get the Stream Deck working so I don't have to keep on clicking through stuff. But anyway, Metro Studio says Xbox Series S's GPU presents challenges for its future games. Again, written by Tom Ivan over at VGC. Metro Studio 4A Games has said that the relatively low Xbox Series S GPU performance presents challenges when it comes to developing its future games. 4A Games is currently working on an enhanced Xbox Series X and X, PS5 and PC versions of Metro Exodus, which are scheduled for release in 2021. It said this week that all of the new console versions offer a full ray traced lighting and 60 FPS, with the Series X and PS5 versions running at 4K and the Series S running at 1080p. While 4A Games currently have compromised solution to overcome the lower GPU performance of the Nintendo Series S, Chief Technical Officer Alexander, we'll go with that, told WCCF Tech that the GPU was problematic for its future games due to the nature of the studio's existing renderer. The RAM is not the issue for us currently, but in GPU performance presents challenges for future titles, he said. Our current renderer is designed for for high spatial and temporal resolution, reading at 4K 60 FPS. I don't know what that word says. I mean, stochastic, but I don't know. I completely read that by nature. something by nature. Dropping any of those would require us to do more expensive calculations, dropping performance even further. We have a compromise solution right now, but I am not satisfied with it yet. 4A Games acquired by Halo Anniversary and World War Z studio Saber Interactive, a subsidiary of Ember Grace Group, in August 2020. As well as the new versions of Metro Exodus, 4A Games is currently working on the next entry in the Metro series and a new AAA IP. In November, interviewed Digital Foundry Xbox system architect Andrew. Is this stuff that we didn't? Yeah, we didn't need to read this. This is just boop, 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 boop. So, again, at the bottom of the articles, you usually try to cram in as many other links to other articles in there. This is just stuff that we've got over 1 million times, just about how underpowered or overpowered it could potentially be and how some games may struggle, i.e. the article at present. Well, guess who's finally joined us this morning, ladies and gentlemen? He's decided to get out of his pit and into the chat. Confirmed, Xbox is weaker than PlayStation. Hello, Graham. Good morning, sir. How are you doing? Did you sleep well? You missed a complete skit this morning. I don't know how long you've been here, but I did the bib. What did you get up to last night? And I did the, well, Graham, I got up to watching City last night. I was wondering through. It's a whole thing. You need to go back and watch it. But welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So this is the kind of thing that we talked about when you have an underpowered console compared to the same, to have a console in the same generation as a top tier one. And by top tier, I absolutely mean the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Both on level par with each other, give or take a few teraflops, but having an underpowered console in your current gen console, which is now next gen console, will cause problems. Now, it's a problem that, I wouldn't even say it's a nice problem to have, but it's going to take a lot more. The techniques that people are using to try and create games now are obviously evolving every single day. The added problem of trying to make a game look amazing and then having to kind of deframe it, shall we say? Try to bring it back a step to try and make it just above the Xbox One, but just below the Xbox Series X. That's a bit of a task, and again, it's something that we mentioned when we started to get the specs of these consoles, that we said eventually may become a problem. Now, it's not as if you're trying to up-res console games from the original Xbox, like we started to see with a load of backwards compatibility, having to take a game at its best and then, devalue it, in a sense, to try and make it run on a underpowered console. I'll say in air quotes, because it's still a fantastic console and a console that I would absolutely love to get my hands on. This is going to be a problem for a lot of people, I think, especially when they want to make a AAA title. I mean, this is a remaster of a game. They want to try and make it look as good as they can. They have to make it look as good as they can, but take it down a notch. And it almost feels like it needs to be a two-team job to try and get this done. You guys over there try and make it look as pretty as possible. You guys take their work and then copy it, but make it a little bit worse. It's a little bit odd, shall we say. Gary says, not surprised by this, to be honest. Let's be honest, though. Most people buying the S aren't going to be wanting to play the hardcore 4K stuff, pushing the hardware. The S is more suited to the casual and family-friendly market. Family-friendly market. I will always say that the S is aimed at people who just want to play Games Pass, because that is the only reason why I'd want to pick this console up. To be able to pay the £14 to have my Xbox Ultimate on the Xbox Series S and over on my PC, and be able to play the catalogue of games that don't flick between them, because there is games that are on the S that aren't on the PC. To be able to have a go at them games, that would be fantastic. But I don't think anyone's buying the S to be able to play the game at the same level as the X. I feel like that's common sense at this point. We don't even need to tread over that ground. I mean, it is the more affordable console, I think, coming in at 250 sheets. So it is the more affordable next gen gateway to get into it. But if you want to be able to play the games at the absolute best that you can try to get out of the disc or the digital edition of the game, then there's only one way you can do that, really. Well, it's two, depending on the console cycle that you want to get into. So, yeah, I feel like this is kind of obvious at this point, and it's going over all ground in terms of we knew that this would happen. It's going to be very difficult for devs to be able to try and make a game look amazing and then degrade the game in terms of making it run at 1080 and then maybe getting locked at 30 because it won't be able to, the balance won't be there. I'm not too sure. Jalen's in the chat. What are you even on about? I'll tell you what I'm on about. You're getting banned. Get a fuck. Bye, mate. Gary said, just like we'll do with the other current games, scale it down depending on the hardware it's on. Yeah, I mean, we've seen the games from way back getting tarted up and being brought into newer games, to newer versions of the consoles, which is great. We obviously remasters or upscales, perfectly fine. But trying to take a game and then trim it down a little bit to run on the consoles, it's not as if you're bringing out a PlayStation 5 and then a PS4 version of the game because you know what your system hardware limitations are. You're kind of taking a game that's made for new hardware, but then in the new hardware still having an area which isn't as powerful as current hardware. ArgGF says, hey cutes. You're definitely in the wrong stream for that. Can I dab, says Bot Camera. Absolutely not. What do you think this is? This is not a circus. But anyway, yeah, that's that. What are your thoughts, chat? What are your thoughts on the current situation then with the Xbox Series X and the S? Do you think that is feasible? I mean, it is feasible to have both of the consoles in the market, but is it feasible for them to try and make games and then degrade them slightly? I don't know how they even do that accurately and make it worthwhile. It just feels like is it a waste of time? I don't know. Would it actually work better to make it an Xbox One game and then up-res it slightly? For the Xbox Series S rather than taking all that time to try and balance the performances between them both. I think that's where my mind immediately goes to. Just make an Xbox game and then make it playable on your Xbox Series S. I don't know. I think that's probably the way to go forward with it. It's not the cleanest way of doing it, but having to spend all your time trying to make it look amazing on one side, but then slightly making it look I don't want to say worse because it's still going to look absolutely flames, but make it worthwhile playing on the S. I think that's the only way of doing it. But I think that's it for today's news. The news today was okay. Asim says, I think it's down to how the game is developed. If you're using an engine that's easily scalable, not a problem. If it's a team like 4A using their own engine, as far as I know, then it's a little bit tougher. Agreed. They can only use what they have in front of them. And if they... I think this will take a major drain on resources, if I'm being honest, to try and balance two different games. Downscaling is much cheaper than making essentially two versions of the game. I agree. I mean, as I said, even if they make the Xbox One version of it and then it's up-res slightly, I think that would still work. I mean, you probably wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Cyberpunk is the ultimate example of it, says Luke. Good morning, Luke. How's it going? But I was looking for the news this morning and it was all Nintendo based, so I've tried to dig out a few more articles that I could talk about to you guys whilst I'm on my own. I've doing the dollops. They're not the easiest in the world because it just feels like I'm talking a lot, which I am because I'm trying to make a show out of it. But yeah, Graham will be back on Monday, so we'll hopefully add some more then. But that is the news for today. Can I dab though, says Asim. No. I tell you what, if someone gives a sub in the chat, I'll dab for you. How's about that? This ain't no circus, man. Gary says, Luke, to Luke, yeah, exactly. Make the best of it you can, Series X, and then lower it down for the S. Whether or not it's compatible. Can I floss? Absolutely not. Mate, I can't even dance. I've got one move, it's universal. It just speeds up and down depending on the tempo of the song. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I think that's probably it for today's scoop. We will be back tomorrow with another daily dose of the dollop. Yes, there we go. That daily dose of the dollop. But we will be back this afternoon with some games. I have got some work that I need to do beforehand, so it will be in around about an hour's time. I don't know whether or not I'm going to play Fee Golf or PGA. I feel like I want to play PGA today again because I've seen a post before, and 2K is doing another esports event this weekend, so I want to get back into a rhythm. We started to pick up a load of good points, and we started to play well towards the end of the stream yesterday, so I want to get back into that. I want to start playing well so I can win some money this weekend. That's what I want to do. But yeah, that is it for today. If you do want to be involved in the show, there is two ways that you can do that. First of all, find us on social media as @IceCreamUploads across all major social media platforms. Second way, get into our Discord. There is an area in there called The Scoop. All we need from you is the URL plus your thoughts and opinions. We will then give you our thoughts and opinions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day? 10 a.m. ish. But yeah, we'll be back in about an hour's time. I will go over and raid someone in the meantime. I don't know who that's going to be, so stay tuned to find out. Please go over and say hello to the raiders. In fact, it's going to be Chucky. How easy as that? We're going to go over and say hi to Chucky. He's playing some FIFA. It looks like he's doing SBCs. But until later on this afternoon, or for you guys that are in there to watch the scoop, or listen to us podcast services around the globe, there's only one thing that I want you to do, and that, my friends, is to stay frosty.